Hello, my name's David Joel. Welcome to our latest video cast on support for businesses in the crisis. It's now been close on 11 weeks since lockdown, and a lot of us are starting to feel the pressure a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about funding support, which a number of you have asked questions about in the past. Now, funding support that's out there comes in three types, really. We've got deferments, we've got loans, and we've got grants. So deferments are things like having time-based relief on paying your taxes, things like VAT, corporation tax. And HMRC have instituted a time-to-pay scheme, and that's there to help you with your cash flow. Now, having used it myself in my own small business, I've found it immensely useful, and HMRC, when you get through to them on their telephone system, have been really helpful. But you've got to remember, these are deferments. They're not letting you off your taxes, and they will have to be paid back in 2021. So there's more details around the deferment schemes, the time to pay, on the HMRC website. We're going to talk a little bit more about loans. A number of you have taken out loans to get you through the crisis. And back in March, around the end of March, the government introduced the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme, which allowed you to borrow up to 45 million with no interest payable in your first 12 months. The loans were administered through your business banks and could take the form of a number of banking products. That could be an overdraft, a term loan, which is a loan over a number of years, invoice financing, where you borrow against money you're owed, or asset financing, where you borrow against some asset that you have in the business, something like a building or some significant piece of plant. That is all administered through your bank. A lot of businesses have taken that route, and the process is very similar to taking out a conventional loan. So you do have to go through quite a few steps to get to that. And whilst there's no fees and there's no interest, you still have to prove the viability of your business going forward. So there was always a need for some form of business plan. So if you're not used to doing business plans, you might find that coronavirus business interruption loan scheme quite challenging to secure. However, in May, the government announced the Business Bounce Back Loan Scheme. Now, this scheme allows businesses to borrow somewhere between £2,000 and £50,000. The amount you can borrow is capped by the amount of turnover you've had in 2019, and the cap is 25% of your turnover. So what that means is, if your turnover was 200k a year, you could borrow up to 50k. There's a lot of pluses to this. Like the CBILS loan, there's no interest repayments for the first year, no setup fees. After the first year, the interest rate goes to 2.5% a year, and the maximum term you can take that loan for is 6 years. You can repay early with no penalties. The big plus here is there's no security or guarantees required for the loan, and there is no restriction on how you use the money. So, for example, you could use that to actually pay off some other finance. Your declarations on turnover are also self-certified, so there are no business plan requirements in this. I've applied for that loan for my own small business, and from personal experience, the application is really, really straightforward. It takes about 30 minutes to complete it. It's accessible online through your business bank. Now, it's a great scheme if you believe that your business is viable post-lockdown, and it's worth applying for just to get you over a cash flow hump, a bit like a cash insurance, if you will. In my case, my intention is to take the loan as it's interest and payment free for 12 months and store it in a separate account and only access it when you need it. And then, once the business is back on its feet, pay back the loan early, because there are no penalties for that. And so I've effectively had 12 months interest-free cash support. But you do need to be disciplined with it. If you start dipping into it, remember it is a loan and you've got to pay it back. So is there any catches? Well, there's no technical catches with this, but there is a minor issue really. The product itself has proved to be really attractive, so the demand for the business bounce back loans is very high. Consequently, the banks have been swamped with applications. So it's taking in the region of 2 weeks to get the loan approved. So if you need cash quickly, you've got to factor in that 2-week latency. However, once it is approved, it takes 48 hours to get it into your account. Now, there's a great description of how you might use this loan on Martin Lewis's Money Saving Expert website, which I heartily recommend you visit. Many businesses have been able to take advantage of the various grant schemes that have been in place. So there's 3 of those. There's the Small Business Rates Relief Grant, which is 10K. There's the Rural Rates Relief Grant, also 10K. And for those of you in leisure and hospitality, there's the Retail, Hospitality and Leisure Grant Fund as well, which is 25K. Now, these have all been administered by local authorities, and they've done a sterling job at getting that out, and we're grateful for that. If you're eligible, they've contacted you. However, there's been a number of smaller businesses that are often sublet into other facilities where they're not the rate payer, and they've fallen through the cracks, and they've not been able to apply for that. So we've got some good news now on that front. This week, Business Secretary Alok Sharma and the Regional Growth and Local Government Minister Simon Clarke set up another 617 million to be made available to businesses that missed out on the previous grants. So this is now called the Small Business Grant Fund and the Retail and Hospitality and Leisure Grant Fund. So there's no rating element in this. The Chambers of Commerce and the other business organisations have been instrumental in getting this money released. So it's the power of working with your chambers, really. The scheme will be administered by local authorities, and they're going to prioritise businesses in shared spaces, regular market traders, small charity properties, and bed and breakfast businesses that pay council tax rather than business rates. To qualify, businesses must be small or micro businesses. That means you've got under 50 employees. And you've got to be able to demonstrate that you've seen a significant drop in income due to the coronavirus. The maximums for the scheme are 25k if you're in leisure and 10k if you're in a non-leisure business. As before, it's the local authorities that will administer that, and they have discretion to make payments under the maximum's 10k. Some local authorities are actually doing it in 2.5k pots, but that's purely discretionary on their part. As and when you apply, in this case, the local authority won't contact you because they don't know who you are. There's a number of things you may need. So you're going to need some documentation. So that could well be bank statements, rent or lease agreements, utility bills, business insurance proof, recent accounts. So that would be profit and loss. So it shows your turnover and balance sheet, any trading names and company numbers, website details. This is all about proving that you are a legitimate company. Local authorities will be issuing further guidance soon. Some are doing it already, and it's expected that the scheme will formally go live in early June, and we'll keep you posted on progress. And finally, I'd just like to signpost the Chamber of Solutions panel. We've now gone fortnightly with these panel solutions, and they continue to be well received. We've got a new format that allows the participants to pick the themes they want to talk about in advance. The next session is on the 9th of June, kicks off at 9:30 and ends at 11. Registration is via the Eventbrite tool, which is on the Chamber's website, or alternatively you can contact Ben McDonald or Ben Applin at the Chamber, and they'll be able to help you. And so on that note, we're going to sign off. Until next time, stay safe.